Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. The sweet taste of workplace revenge. Let me break down this epic tale from the military battleground circa 2003. Our OP, a tech whiz, takes charge of a crucial project and is confronted by an evil boss. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Why are you wearing a white hat? You're not a supervisor. So this story happened around 2003 or 2004. I was in the military working for a new boss who was afraid to look incompetent. I understand his position, but the equipment we were working on isn't used anywhere else in the world, so there's no reason he should have been self-conscious about it. Literally, everybody posted into this job is starting from ignorance of the kit in question. For your knowledge, we are technicians. Our job is fixing electronics and performing third-line maintenance, board level, replacing components on equipment. The equipment we were working on are 1.5 metric ton cameras used to acquire telemetry information from our aircraft on bombing ranges. They're really, really old though, like they were installed in the late 60s. Due to this, we need to start trialing a new system, so the government opened up contracts and a bid was won. We were finally going to get upgrades. At this point, I was an expert on the systems. Our boss went on a leadership course required when you reach his rank, and he dumped everything he had on his plate onto the lap of his second-in-command, who was understandably frustrated. I offered to take on the biggest project so there would be less to do, and because I wanted to show I had the skills, he agreed. So I contacted all the necessary people, PMED, supply, engineers, and transport, in order to orchestrate the removal and disposal of these cameras. After 2 weeks of careful planning and research, we were ready to go. The two IC grinned at me on the day of the move and says, "Grab the white hat, this is your project, you're in charge here." Beaming with pride, I grab the site supervisor hard hat, throw it on, and start the ball rolling. Everything's going well and according to plan. The dome housing, the camera's been cut off, and the truck with the crane arm, HIAB, capable of lifting up to a metric ton is on site. I'm about to go dismantle the camera. They're capable of being split into 3 pieces, all weighing under a ton each, when my boss gets out to the range. It's his first day back at work after his course, qualifying him to be a leader for his troops. Instead of asking for a brief as to what's happening or just letting it play out, he decides to puff out his chest and display his newfound levels of authority and command. Loudly, in front of everybody, he says, "Why the F are you wearing a white hat? You aren't the MCPL." Turning red with embarrassment and not having much of a spine back then, I capitulate and apologize, attempting to stammer out that I was assigned this task. He cuts me off. "Whatever, take it off and get back to work." He exchanges hard hats with me, and I'm wearing my yellow worker hat now. He's wearing the white site supervisor hat. Smugly content, he turns to me and says, "Carry on." "Okay, boss, I'm the one who did all the work. I know exactly what needs to be done next. As the person with all the information, the reason I was supervising it should be obvious. He wanted to embarrass me in front of everybody? Turnabout's fair play, my friend." I nodded and said, "No problem, boss. What do you want me to do?" He said, "Keep removing the camera." "I'd love to. How do I do that?" My vapid response came back. "As you're the site supervisor, I'm awaiting your instructions on how to proceed. What exactly would you like me to do next, boss?" He turned beet red as he realized this means he would have to publicly state that he, in effect, chewed me out for supervising the project I put together, as I should have been doing. He swore at me a bit and waved his hand saying, "Just finish the job," turning more red by the minute as higher-ranking people caught on to what had just happened, so they started clustering around him asking pointed questions about the project and process. The absolute glee I felt when the range chief asked him where we were bringing the cameras and the look on his face as he realized he was going to have to call over to me to answer the questions was priceless. But not as priceless as the malicious gleam I caught in the chief's eye when he turned to me. It said, "I understand. I've got your back." In the world of military hierarchy, sometimes the underdog gets their moment to shine, leaving the higher-ups red-faced and scrambling for answers. And our second story. Just do your work. 15 years ago, Australia. Government electrical contracting can be all kinds of things. This day, it was a little bit fun. Background. We had a job to upgrade the switchboards in an office block. The plan, given to us by government, called for 2 suites of offices to be done at one time, on weekends only, specifically Saturdays only. Our teams could obviously get more done in a day and over a whole weekend, but this was the plan. The plan called for removing and replacing the existing switchboards and fitting new ones. For the Sparkies reading, the old boards in this building had no RCDs, RCBOs, so the apprentices should have some fun helping chase the problem circuits. The plan schedule was communicated in advance to the suites that would be affected 1 month prior, 1 week prior, and the day before. Important to note that once we started a switchboard, there would be no power in the chosen suites until we finished. Story. This fine Saturday morning, it was 7 a.m. on day 1 of the plan. The rest of the crew were due in about 30 minutes with all the gear. The 2 suites we were doing that day belonged to the same government department. Each suite had 5 offices with windows that saw into the central open plan space. About 20 people worked in each suite. So 7 a.m. I'm drinking my coffee while standing at the switchboard of Suite 1. It's on a wall in the open plan. I can see into the offices. In walks people from the suite's front doors. They stop dead when they see me. Person, sounding surprised and annoyed, "Who are you? And what are you doing here?" I'm thinking, uh-oh, they didn't read the plan. Me, injecting some happy into my voice, "Good morning. Just doing some electrical work here today. Have you seen..." Gets cut off before I can mention the plan. Person, now just annoyed, "I don't have time for this. Just get on with it." Person heads into office labeled manager and turns on the lights, so they're now manager for this story. Pause here for a sec. Okay, so as an office worker, if you unexpectedly met an electrician in your office who says they're doing work, you might have a few questions like, is it going to affect me, and how long will it take? I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, so I go over to their office and try again. Me. "Excuse me, the work here today is..." Again, don't get to bring up the plan. Manager, annoyed and dreary sounding now, "Look, can you just do your work and leave me alone?" And here we are. I go back to the switchboard, head hanging in shame. I failed. Not really, though, because I've been at this rodeo before. See username? I go around to each office and turn on the lights because I can hear the chimes of manager's PC turning on. This is purely for effect. I already have the open plan lights on. Back at the switchboard, I put my finger on the circuit breaker for power in the manager's office, waiting until the PC has booted. Flick, power out. Manager's UPS begins its beeping. Choose another breaker. Flick, lights in the manager's office go out. Manager calling out, "Hey, what are you doing?" Flick, lights in the next office go out. The race is on. I have a finale planned. How many offices' lights do I get to turn off before it happens? 2 more. And then manager's out of their office and standing 2 meters from me, glaring. I put my hand on the big black main switch. Manager, quite vexed, "I said, what are you doing?" Me, straight-faced, looking manager in the eyes. "We're doing the switchboard changeouts outlined in the plan. You're on all the emails I've seen." I turn the main switch. It makes a satisfying ka-chunk sound. All the lights, indeed, all the power in this suite is now out. All the other UPSs join in, underscoring this scene with their nice beeping chorus. From the light coming through the windows, I see realization dawning. The manager turns, heads to their office, and gathers their things and stuff. Dear reader, remember when I said the 2 suites we were doing that day belonged to the same government department? Manager has 2 doors to choose from, the front door or the interconnecting door. I feel like you guessed which door they chose. At the time, I was maybe hoping they would choose that one too. After turning off the UPSs, I head outside to wait for the team. 15 minutes later, I'm recounting events to the others. We have a laugh. While they start gathering the gear, I feel 25 minutes is enough time to have logged in, checked emails, reread the plan, and leave. I head to Suite 2. Manager's in an office, busily typing away. Oh dear. I head to the switchboard, grab the main switch. Manager's looking at me now. Me, looking manager in the eyes again, call out with actual sincerity, "I'm so sorry about this. Did you want to save your work first?" Manager seems to be saving, so I wait. I'm not a monster. I wait until they have their hand on the front door, then ka-chunk. Aftermath. None. I mean, what could the manager do in the face of the plan? We had a great day, the apprentices got some solid electrical experience. Addendum. 5 weeks later, I walked into Suite 9 at 7 a.m. In this 5 weeks, I'd learned that manager had been seconded to another department located in Suite 9. Again, I'd been kinda maybe hoping. Manager did not disappoint. When I saw them in their office typing away in full breach of the now 5-week-old the plan, I will here admit that the monster won. Ka-chunk. Electricians being called Sparkies may be the most Australian thing I've read today. And our last story. HOA clash over satellite dish. Was moving to a different city and crashed at my dad's townhouse for a few months to save money for the move. One day, a guy showed up to install a satellite dish that my dad ordered. My dad isn't the type of guy to pay very close attention to HOA rules and apparently missed a brand new and highly contentious rule that satellite dishes were eyesores and no longer allowed. So just as the installer guy is getting up to the roof, this couple, head of the HOA, comes sprinting from their townhouse across the street to shut it down, screaming bloody murder. I had absolutely no issue with not getting a satellite dish. It wasn't even my house. But these two HOA thugs were absolutely awful. The wife was just hurling insults at the installer guy, and I, and the husband, immediately started climbing the ladder up onto the roof to kick the crap out of the installer guy. None of this was provoked at all. It just went from 0 to 100 miles per hour in no time flat, and this couple was out of control. Well, the installer guy eventually had enough of having racist insults hurled at him and came down the ladder and started a full-on brawl with the husband in my dad's driveway. The wife was screaming at the top of her lungs at me, a stoned couch surfer whose only contribution to this whole fiasco was to answer a door and let a guy on the roof. I still vividly remember being absolutely dumbfounded watching these two grown men beat the hell out of each other while I tried to communicate to my dad on the phone over the shrill sounds of some strange woman absolutely berating me for ruining the neighborhood. Ultimately, this anecdote serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the potential for discord and chaos when personal freedoms clash with collective regulations, and how quickly tensions can escalate in the pursuit of neighborhood conformity. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.